Welcome to everyone watching this video. In the previous videos, we have completed the coding part of our offline multiplayer tic-tac-toe game, and we have also made the index page, menu page, and whenever somebody wins, we also celebrate them with music and confetti. So if you have not seen those previous videos, click the link in the description. It will redirect you to your playlist where you can see all the videos dedicated on how to build this game. In today's video, we are going to be building the against computer option so that you can play tic-tac-toe with your computer. How are we going to make it? Let's discuss on the whiteboard. So as you can see the whiteboard behind me, I would be explaining to you how we are going to code the versus computer part of our tic-tac-toe game. So for example, here we have the basic 3 by 3 grid of our tic-tac-toe game. 1, 2, 3. These are basically the positions of the button which we had placed when we were typing the HTML. If you remember in that HTML video, we had named the buttons as B1, B2, B3. So this is basically those buttons only that I am telling to you. How we had named the buttons? We had used the special thing of HTML which is ID. We had given each and every button a unique ID, and it was 1, 2, 3. So that is B1, B2, B3 if you remember. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so these are basically various positions. Now, for example, if I am the human player and I would be playing first, so I am X. Now, I will draw X here. I have clicked the B1 button and it is showing X. What will the computer do now? For example, we have the numbers 1 to 9. Now the computer will generate a random number between 1 and 9. So, for example, the computer generates the number 2. Okay, so there is a random function in JavaScript that can be used to generate a random number. So the computer generate the random number 2. So at the button 2's position, we will put the 0. Now what will happen? It's my turn again. I'm the human player. And for example, I choose this position to put X. What will the computer do now? Computer will again generate a random number from 1 to 9, and for example it generates the number 5 this time. Now as you can see, fifth position is empty, so 0 would be occupied here. And there is also a flaw in this if you have not noticed it already. What will happen if, for example, the computer generates the number 1 again? It is a possibility because if we generate a random number between 1 and 9, there is a high chance it will generate a number at whose position a place has already been occupied. We will cancel that number. We will rerun the random function and we will generate a nice suitable number, for example, 6. At 6, it can play the position. Right. So for example, if I was the player, I chose this as the position, right? And now next time it can choose this position. So this is how we would be coding the versus computer part of the game. There are obviously more advanced like algorithms for the tic-tac-toe, but for now, because this is the basic and this is the first time you might be coding something like this, we would be starting with the random function and we will determine the position of where the computer is going to play using the random function. So let's just start coding. So now we would be coding the versus computer part of our tic-tac-toe game. Here I have opened the tic-tac-toe.html file. As you can see, I have like all of the coding which we have completed in the previous videos. Now let's just start discussing from this point. Here we have a variable if x which is equal to true. Okay, so for example, if I'm playing the offline multiplayer version, which is this, and I am sitting here and a person who is sitting beside me is having the player 0 and I am having the player X. So basically I am the player X, right? I would be playing first. So initially we kept if x to be true, because obviously the x person plays first, then the 0 person's chances come. Here we have the function button click. Okay, so whenever all of these 9 buttons, okay, any one of these 9 buttons has been clicked, this function would be called. X is basically the parameter to know which button was clicked. So basically we have all of these 9 buttons, right? So whenever we click one button, this function is called if x. That means if it is the chance of the x player to play, then we are going to do this stuff. If there is a chance of the 0 person to play, then we do this stuff. The other if else statements which are below this are basically to identify if somebody has won or not. We have already discussed all of this part in very detail in the previous videos. In today's video, we are going to be making the multiplayer version, right, with the computer. Now, for that, we have the tic-tac-toe.html. I'm going to be right clicking on this and cloning this file. Okay, so for cloning this file, let's just copy and paste. We basically have a duplicate file of this. I will tell you why we are doing this, and we are going to rename this as vscomputer.html versus computer.html. This is basically the ditto copy of the previous file. We did this because most of the coding, most of the styling of the web page is going to remain the same. But when I play, the computer will play the next move, right? So for that, there is only one player. The main role of the concept that we need here, there is only and only one player, that is me, player X. The other player is the computer. We don't consider the computer to be a player because it will just instantly respond to whatever we will do, right? Okay. We are going to remove this var if x equal to true because right now button click function only gets called when a button has been clicked. Okay. So once we click the button, is it the chance of me to play or the computer to play? That is very easy to identify. Why? Because computer cannot click a button. The computer cannot click a button. So for example, if I am clicking on this button, computer cannot like literally move my cursor and go to a place and click the button, right? That is not gonna happen. So that's why we are removing the if x statement, because anyways we don't need it right now, right? So let's just remove all of this. We are just removing the if part of the statement. Okay. Initially what is going to happen is whenever a button is clicked, whenever a button is clicked, it is gonna just display X. Let me show you. Let's just load this HTML file first. I know it is a bit complex to understand, but I'm trying my best, okay? Because this is really a very deep concept. So here we have the HTML file, okay? Any button that I will click, it will just turn to X, and X has one because we just completed the row. At least what I as a human am going to play has been already programmed. Just imagine, for example, this X already been programmed. Any button I click, it is turning into X. But what is to happen whenever I click a button, the computer automatically has to choose the position of the 0. For that, we are using the random algorithm. Now, here we have if x equal to false, just remove all these effects because these are just gonna cause error and there is no need for the variable if x anymore. Okay, till here I think so it must be clear. If it is not clear, you must rewatch and you should observe the code very thoroughly. Now, what we are going to do exactly? If you remember in the whiteboard, we have already discussed, we are going to be using the random function to generate a random number between 1 and 9. So let's just create a function. Let's just create a function named random. No, actually, we cannot do that because it is a reserved kind of a function. We should not do this. We should do GenRandNum, generate random number, just like that. Gen random. Now, here we have basically created this function. This function takes no inputs. This will return us the random number. So for example, num, it will just return num. What is num? We are going to try that. Now, to generate a random number in JavaScript, we use math.random. This math is basically a module, inbuilt module of JavaScript that can be basically used to carry out various mathematical operations in your JavaScript program. Here we want a random number, so we are using math.random. What does this return? Math.random is a function that returns us a random number between 0 and 1. Okay, so the math.random function will return us a number, any random number, a floating point number between 0 and 1. So, just for explanatory reasons, I'm going to do document.write math.random. And let's just call this genRandom function. So directly just call it here. Why am I calling this? Because I just want to explain it to you. Okay. Refresh. Nothing happened. One minute. I think so because there's a huge error. Num is not defined and whatever. Remove this and I think so it should work now. Refresh. There is still an error. Gen rand number, right? What's the actual issue? Okay, let's just pass this inside of this button click function only. Don't worry, you don't need to do this part. Actually, I will tell you what you need to code on your system. Okay, what is this function doing? This function is returning us a random floating point number between like 0 and 1. So this is 0.7317. This is basically a random floating point number between 0 and 1. Am I right? Yes, that's true. That's basic maths. Now, what are we going to do? We need a random number which can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, right? We only need these 8 integers. So, for that, what are we going to do? We are going to convert this mat.random into an integer, right? Here you can see it is 0.7. I just need this 7 part out of this whole floating point number. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 10 to this. Let's just see what kind of output we get. We get 7.5. Like again, the number 7 only came. That's nice. So 7.5. I don't need this part. I need to omit this part now. We have the 7 in front, we just need 7. For omitting the floating point part from a number, we use a special thing which is parse int. Parse int is a function in JavaScript to convert a floating point number into an integer. Remember this function, this will like throughout your career through JavaScript, this function is very necessary. Now you can see we get a random number which can be 1, which can be 0, which can be 7, 4, 5, 6, 6 again, 7, 3. Okay, so as you can see, this is basically generating random numbers between any of 0 and 9. But we wanted a random number between 1 and 9. For that, what we are going to do exactly? We have this parse int random, right? Let's just remove the document.write thing. Okay. Anyways, we don't need this. I was using the document.write for explaining to you. Okay. Here we have parseInt and this. Let's just save it into a variable named num. Var num is equal to parseInt and this thing. And we are going to return the num because this num generation function is basically going to return a random number. Now, we are also going to apply an if-else statement. So if the num so if the number generated, okay, so the number generated is less than 0, okay, if this number is less than 0, actually sorry, is if it is less than 1, it is possible to be 1, but we don't want anything less than 1. If num is less than 1 or num is greater than, if num is less than 1 or num is greater than 9, we don't want this number. We don't want this number. So we are going to do something, right? We are going to call this function again, or even better, what we can do, we can put this part into a while statement. So while true, actually, let's just keep a while true statement. So while true, we are going to loop through this. Okay, so we are looping through this. While true, we are generating a random number, checking if it lies in this. So if the number is less than 1 or number is greater than 9, we need to run this while true again. We are going to pass this. So pass. Actually, in we don't have pass in this JavaScript, so let's just leave this empty. Else, else what we are going to do? Else we are going to directly return num. Yep, that will stop the loop as well. We are going to cut this and we are going to directly return num. So return num. How is this going to work? If if basically num is less than 1 or num is greater than 9, if it is out of bounds, then we are going to do nothing, else we are going to return num directly. Okay, let's just see how is this function working. So let's just do document dot write, and we are going to write this thing. Let's just see how it is working. So 3, fine, we are fine with 3. We are fine with 6, we are fine with 3, 6, 9, 3, 8, 3, 2, 6, 8, 3, 1, 6. You just saw we got basically all the numbers, but we never hit 0. That is what we wanted. We have a function that returns us a random number from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Done. We have completed actually the major part of coding, really. Like the major part of coding this game. It is this algorithm. Why I made it into a function? Because separating and organizing your code is way more important than like just struggling to find each and every line. Also, you can simplify this code. Also, you can simplify this code like this. Return num, just take it, cut it from here, paste it directly into this, remove the else statement. Do this if num is greater than 1 or num is less than 9. If num is greater than 1, oh, actually this time greater than or equal to 1. Actually, I just placed equal to because this is an advanced IT. It is making it look like greater than or equal to symbol. This is basically I have just placed greater than and equal to sign. Okay. So if num1, if num is greater than or equal to 1, or num is less than 9, right? Less than or equal to 9, again, less than or equal to 9. Then we are going to return the num. This is going to function the same way, but this is even more efficient. Okay, let's just refresh this. Okay, number 5 is there. Very good. Number 5 again, 3, 7, 7, 4, 0. We just hit 0. Why? Why we hit 0? Because if number is greater than or equal to 0 or less than, see, this is the flaw in coding, right? Sometimes you are just thinking and it just goes over your mind. Or replace this or with and, because we want both the conditions. The number should be greater than 1. The number should be greater than and equal to 1 and also less than and equal to 9. Remember this. Okay, sometimes very 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 basic things can really mess up your coding. Again, go ahead, try it. Just search if a 0 comes or not. Just quickly, I'm just checking. Nope, we are not hitting 0 at any point. I'm just continuously spamming, and no, we are getting all the numbers that we wanted. We are getting the desired output with a more efficient code, and it just works awesome. Now we are having this gen rand num function. Very good. Very good. What are we going to do exactly? We have buttons as well. We have all of these buttons. Now, whenever the X player, that is me as a human, I am playing, I clicked the button, it called this function, the where the person clicked the button, it turned into this x.png. Like basically, whenever the person is clicking the button, it is turning into x. Working fine. Now, also what we need to do, we are also going to play the zeros turn, right? For that, copy this, paste it in here, paste it in here. And what we are going to do, we have this random number, right? So we are going to do document.getElement by id, document.getElement by id, b, actually this is going to be incorrect, but I am telling you so that you build your logic. B plus get random, same thing. B plus get random. This will concatenate and make b1, b2, b3. So a random number has been selected. So for example, b1 dot get element by id, we are going to make it into 0.png, and we are going to disable this. Oh, actually, we should have stored it into a new variable. So var let's just name it like the o like o underscore position. Okay, so this is the o position should be this. Am I right? It should be this. Now this o position, we need to take paste it in here, paste it in here. Most probably we have done actually 99% of the coding. So let's just refresh. Actually, it is zoomed in quite a lot. Let's just X. Oh, now the computer is thinking. Yeah. Now you can see. Is it possible that O can win? Oh, player X1. Oh, 1 minute, 1 minute. Play again. I want the O to win. Whoa, whoa. Where? Oh, actually, we just redirected to tictacttoe.html. No. O is now playing with us. Oh, okay. So what happened? I clicked on this button, which is B2. The random number which got generated was 2, and it changed in place. To restrict that, we also need to make sure that this O position is empty. We are going to do this only when O position is empty. For that, we are going to copy this part and place it instead of O position. Copy this part, control X. So actually cut this part and paste it in here. I am going to tell you what am I doing exactly. So only just named it var o is equal to document.get element by id b gen random number. We just have this. We just have this. So we have basically stored that specific object into the o, right? Now we are going to first check if that O is empty or not. So for checking if that O is empty or not, if O dot inner HTML dot includes. So if the O dot inner HTML dot includes, what it includes, if by any chance it includes a string dot png. Okay, for example, if it just includes dot png inside of it, that means it has already been used, right? So if this o dot inner HTML dot includes a dot png, it has already been occupied. So we are going to do nothing. So let's just write do nothing here. Obviously do nothing here because yeah, obviously we are not going to do this. Or we can just turn the system, turn this into by adding a not symbol. So let's just put it into a bracket and add a not at the front. So not o dot inner HTML includes. So o dot inner HTML is not including dot png. Then we are going to add the this image source to that button. Okay, it is really complex to understand, I know, but yeah, it will surely make sense if you will code with me. Like you are seeing this video and you are coding along with me, you will automatically get to know what is happening. Okay, So O dot inner HTML will be equal to this thing. Remember, it is going to be this thing which is O dot PNG, right? And what if the random number generated was not really uh if the number got generated was 2, 2 has already been occupied, can't use it. Again it generates 2, 2 is not occupied. So for adding those multiple if else statements, we can just use a simple loop and get over by it. So while true, while true, select this and just put it here. Yeah. So while true, what we are checking, we are doing this. So document.getElement by we are just okay. So this piece of code is just checking if that button contains something or not. If it contains something, we are going to again like go into the loop. If it does not contain anything, we are going to put that O picture there. And if so, like, this loop is continuously running forever. We don't want that. We need to stop this loop. So if not includes the PNG, so if it is not including a PNG, we are going to do this and break out of the loop. Why we are breaking? Because yes, once the computer has decided the position where it wants to place the O, break from that statement. Done. Refresh. XO, player X has 1. Okay, let's just make O win this time. Actually we redirected to this page. 1 minute. Okay, so O has placed, O has placed, player O has won. Finally, the computer won against us. Now, in the next video, we are going to design computer won against you page. And also we will add the celebration and all of those things. So thank you guys for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and bye bye.